from the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Well, happy Wednesday, everyone. Hump Day, September 22nd, 2021. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from the world. It's so great to be here with all of you. James Azar here for the Practitioner Brief for today. We've got a really busy show. By the way, voting for the ISC Squared Board of Director ends today. Vote your conscience, but vote Dan. And get him in. He was on the show yesterday. It seems like so long ago. I did a live in-person podcast last night. I got to tell you, it was a blast. It was so much fun. That content will be coming out shortly, so stay tuned for that. It was really good. But before we do that, good morning to Anna Lynn. Good morning to Brent. Good morning to David. Coffee time with the awesome Christoph, the magnificent red-bearded JJ Davey. Good morning to you, good sir. Good morning to Anthony, and of course, Dan. Go vote. Good morning to David B. And Chris voted Dan. Yes, that's one more to get Dan into the board, folks. So that's awesome. Good morning to Brandy. It was great to see so many faces yesterday and hug so many awesome people, shake hands, and just hang out. It was awesome. It was magnificent. I'm grateful. But we've got a really busy show. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, please make sure to do so right now. Please share, comment like you guys are doing. Questions, put them in there. We'll answer them as we're going over some of these stories as well. Stuff that you guys want to see, you can always DM me. It's a lot of fun. We'll get right into that. But before we do that, I can't start the show without sipping a cup of coffee together with all of you. So, that being said, my beautiful, lovely double espresso, and you guys can tell the nice little foam line right there on the top. And coffee cup cheers, chai cup cheers, whatever you're drinking. Cheers, folks. And here we go. Let's get right into today's show because we've got a lot of stories, and we end with a really good one, folks. So stay tuned till the very end. Don't go anywhere. All right. We'll start off with VMware essentially calling attention to a high-severity vCenter server flaw that has a CVSS score of 9.8. It's been given CVE 2021-22005. It's a file upload bug in the vCenter server analytics service. The ramification of the vulnerabilities are serious. It's a matter of time, likely minutes after the disclosure, before you'll see working exploits that are publicly available. VMware took the extra step of warning that this type of security flaw is perfect for ransomware actors, meaning bringing the essence and the importance of patching this system up effective immediately. The VMware patch bundle documents at least 19 different security vulnerabilities affecting the VMware vCenter server and VMware Cloud Foundation products. These flaws range in severity, but could expose users to privilege escalation and information disclosure attacks. That's extremely significant. The company is urging customers to prioritize and get this done really quickly in the notice they sent out. This has a direct impact on your business continuity. This has a direct impact on user being able to access their data. But more importantly, if they're tying this to ransomware, just understand what this could mean. Please, if you're using this product, get it patched, put it at the front of the line this morning, and make sure it gets done before lunchtime, if at all possible. So we'll move to our next service where Microsoft warns of a wide-scale phishing-as-a-service operation called Bulletproof Link. And what these guys have done is think of us as cybersecurity, as CISOs, as cybersecurity practitioners. You may run an awareness program in your organization. You may be a part of the committee that does that. And now the threat actors have figured out that since we've got a setup for it where we can phish our teams and get them ready for it, why not do it as a service? And so lo and behold, they've opened the lid on this large-scale phishing-as-a-service operation. It's selling phishing kits and email templates. It's also providing hosting and automated services, all at a low cost. The tech giant said it uncovered the operation during its investigation of a credential phishing campaign that used the Bulletproof Link phishing kit on either an attack-controlled site or sites provided by Bulletproof Link as part of their service. The existence of the operation was first made public by OSINT fans in October of 2020, and you can see it right here. You want an AT&T full single login phishing page? It's only for the price of $100. You can get it. You want an Office 21 single login phishing? Folks, for $100 DocuSign, only $80. So customers are able to actually buy this, and that's how some of these threat actors are getting access into your organization. This stuff's out there. If you're a Microsoft customer, go in, use the TTPs and IOCs that they've shared in order to block some of the stuff from coming through, including domains and so much more. All of that is available on the Microsoft website and in the Microsoft notice as well. Our third story is finally, we're starting to see some movement from the Department of Justice and Treasury. The U.S. government yesterday issued sanctions against the cryptocurrency exchange SUEX for aiding ransomware gangs. SUEX, which is based, or SUEX, whatever they call themselves, they're based in the Czech Republic, but they are of Russian origin. They have offices in Moscow and St. Petersburg. The exchange's 25 deposit addresses have received over $481 million in Bitcoins since becoming active only in February of 2018. Just picture that. Start a business 3 years ago, do $481 million in Bitcoin transactions, amounting of that, a substantial portion of those transfers, 162 million, originated from ransomware operators like Raya, Conti, and Maze, and many more. There is a breakdown of that. So now that they are on a sanction list, you cannot pay through this exchange. That actually has criminal liabilities to it as well. The Treasury is now essentially going after all of these crypto exchanges that help facilitate ransomware payments. This could be a step forward, but they're focusing on Bitcoin, and a lot of them are going over to Monero and other cryptos where they've got a little bit more control. So just, move in the right direction, right? Let's not criticize when the government actually does something that's effective. This is also a deterrence. People are going to start to look at this differently, but hurt the supply line, make sure they can get paid, and ransomware all of a sudden becomes much less attractive. So that's kind of the thought process there. Our next story is a macOS zero-day bug that lets attackers run commands remotely. Apple's not really used to this stuff, folks. I'm typically used to talking about Apple once every 3-4 months. I've been talking about Apple once every 2 to 3 weeks now. They're not used to having so many 0 days. One by the NSO group and the stuff that we've seen on their devices. Now, this is a Mac OS, meaning targeting Mac devices. If you've got a MacBook Pro, Air, iMac, whatever the case may be. Security researchers disclosed this new vulnerability in the macOS Finder. It makes it possible for attackers to run arbitrary commands on Macs running any macOS version up to the latest release, including Big Sur. The 0 days have been publicly disclosed, but have not been patched by some of these vendors. In the macOS, we see that this bug, which was reported independently, is due to how macOS processes init lock files, which inadvertently causes it to run any command embedded by an attacker inside without any warning or prompt that that's actually taking place. There's been no real patch for it. They have not assigned a CVE for it as of yet. People, I don't know what's going on with Apple, but they got to get their stuff together. Bleeping Computer actually reached out to Apple, and Apple was like, we're not going to talk about this. So again, this is if you've got a Mac OS, just keep an eye out on this. This is within Finders. The proof of concept exploit was shared by researchers. It confirms that the vulnerability could run arbitrary commands. And now understand one thing. Now that I've said it, now that they've published it, threat actors know it, and you're going to see them start to target some of these organizations. The init lock file with the POC code was not detected by any of the anti-malware engines on VirusTotals, which means that we are wide open for attack. Keep that in mind right now. I was trying to think of some sort of mitigation outside of just not using Finder. That could be one of them. Maybe you just don't use Finder until there's a patch and just, don't run anything from there. Just kind of look for stuff. But Finder is such an integral part of what you do on a macOS. This is going to be very, very difficult for users, very much so. So keep that in mind, folks, as you see that. So we'll get to some of your comments here in just a moment. I want to wrap this up before we go into our next story here, which is the high-severity RCE flaw that's been disclosed in several Netgear router models. James, why is this important? Well, it's great that you're asking yourself this question. So this is traced as CVE 2021-40847, has a CVSS score of 8.1. The security weakness itself impacts the following models. You can see them. There's a handful of them. It's all the R models from 6000 R6400 version 2 to R8000 and then RS400. You can see all the fixed firmwares. All the links are in the show notes. If you're listening after the fact, you can go and check this out as well. This was discovered by Grim security researcher Adam Nichols. The vulnerability resides within Circle, which is a third-party component included in the firmware that offers parental control features. With the Circle update daemon enabled to run by default, even if the router hasn't been configured to limit daily internet time for websites and apps, that could permit bad actors with network access to gain remote code execution as root via a man-in-the-middle attack, with more and more people working from home. Netgear being probably the most popular router for people working from home. This is extremely significant, folks, and you want to make sure you get these patched. I've been talking about this for the last 18 months, right? But here's the key to this. If you're a CISO, if you're a practitioner, and you have yet to have a some sort of database of every single router that employees use within at home, you're missing the point of remote work. And at some point or another, you're going to be a victim of this type of attack. When you see this kind of stuff, get your help desk to get out there and really get these people to patch their routers, or help them with patching the routers. It's really important. It also shows that you care about them. It's securing them. It's a great way for security people to build relationships across the org and not just be the Department of No, or here comes Fear Factor, or I hate these phishing tests. So keep that in mind. A few of the comments here, we've got Dan that says, thanks for the plug, James. I hope everyone does vote regardless of whom they vote for, but vote for Dan. Cheers. I don't know who this is. Shalom. Let me see who that is. I got to see who the Vladimir. What's happening, man? Cockdilla. Dan, Larry, but with one of the 4 votes, vote for Dan because you get 4 votes. So definitely vote for Dan. And finally, Dan says the SUEX action is a great salvo in the fight against ransomware and money laundering, but this is likely just move malicious actors to the larger legit exchanges. It could, but now that these guys have actually been sanctioned, Dan, you could see the larger exchanges decline the business altogether. So this is kind of like a warning shot. We'll go after anyone, and that's one of them. We'll end with this story. Has very little to do about cyber, but it's really, really critical. So a non-government organization, an NGO, is saying that internet freedoms have declined globally for the 11th consecutive year. Put this map in front of you. Anyone in green has free internet. So really easy to point these out. Japan, Taiwan, Australia, South Africa, Armenia, Georgia, the country, Serbia, Hungary, Germany, Estonia, UK, France, Italy, Iceland, Argentina, Costa Rica, the US, and Canada. That's pretty much the only people that have some sort of freedom of internet. Everywhere else, if we go to the purple, which are not free, Russia, China, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, Ethiopia, Sudan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE. What else am I looking? Rwanda, Venezuela, and Cuba are all on that list. And partially free countries like Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, to name others, India, Kyrgyzstan, Ukraine, Libya, Jordan, Iraq, and Morocco among the list as well. This is significant, folks, because the findings are talking about censorship, about the freedom of internet, of government limiting access to internet, reducing competition to give them more control. We know about the China firewall. They are the world's worst abuser of internet freedoms. According to the NGO, the company has introduced new legislation criminalizing online expression that insults members of the Chinese armed forces as heroes and martyrs, and it continues online censorship. It's also said that China's crackdown on tech has been among the most aggressive. They're in addressing anti-competitive practices, raising concern that the government is more interested in reining in the private sector's autonomy and influence rather than creating a fair market. Not a surprise if you've been studying China. Big one if you have not. This is significant, folks. Other statistics in the report include that 80% of the countries that were analyzed arrested people for their online speech. 64% of those countries' authorities deployed pro-government commentators to manipulate online discussions. 41% of the countries disconnected internet or mobile networks for political reasons, and 46% of countries blocked or restricted social media platforms, which primarily occurred during protests and elections. On the surveillance front, authorities in at least 45 of the 70 countries covered by the report are suspected of having access to sophisticated spyware or data extraction technology supplied by companies like NSO, Celebrite, Circles, Fisher, according to Freedom House, who did this report. In providing the warning, the organizations have called for policy makers for drafting responsible data privacy laws that focus on protecting the users while preventing greater fragmentation of the internet, like government surveillance programs, and making encryption as a basic fundamental to cybersecurity commerce and human rights. All very valid and something that's extremely, extremely disturbing. That's it for our practitioner brief here today. Tomorrow, Roger Grimes is with me on the show. So excited about that one right here live at 9 a.m. We'll wrap up this week, get it all done. A new CISO Talk episode is going to drop tomorrow as well. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, go do so right now. Did a live show last night, December 2nd. If you're in Atlanta, we're going to be doing a holiday live podcast. Save the date. More details coming soon, but it's going to be epic. So say all of that. Folks, thank you all so much for tuning in today. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you all for taking time to be with me. I'm always grateful for all the great comments and feedback I get for the show. Again, tomorrow, Roger Grimes will be right on here with me. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Wednesday and stay cyber safe. Cheers, folks.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.